I am doing pretty good. I got my little Arco 605 here, and installed one of these extended batteries, and it came with a nice cover. It's twice as thick, so it's supposed to last longer, but I have it plugged into DC since the camera attachment really uses up the battery life. So I'm kind of just plugged in here. And as you can see, I got a ton of wires everywhere. What I'm doing currently is I am replacing my oxygen sensors on my motorcycle. It is a 01 Honda VFR, and it has two before the cat, so it's kind of like, if you want to compare it to cars, it'd be kind of like OBD1 oxygen, just an oxygen sensor before the cat. Cars OBD2 will have an oxygen sensor or sensors before and after the catalytic converter. But yeah, pretty much all bikes now will have at least one oxygen sensor. Thankfully, just before the cat. I'm sure someday, eventually, they'll have them on both sides. But the 98 and 99 VFRs didn't have oxygen sensors, but the 00s and 01s did. And as you can tell, it's sorry, I'm trying to watch the screen so I know what I'm looking at. As you can tell, it's pretty dirty. You can see there. I have about, I'd have to look. I can't even think off the top. I know over 40,000 miles, and the reason why this is so dirty is because I left these plugged into the exhaust when I was running a Power Commander for about a year or so, and you unplug your oxygen sensors when you're using Power Commander, and so I just left these in there. And what I should have done, and what everyone else should do, and I know a lot of people don't, because if they ever decide to take the Power Commander off and go back to stock, the oxygen sensor is going to be dirty as hell. And it's because you left it in there and it's never turned on. There's no power, so since you unplug it, as you can tell, this is a 4-wire one, so which you get like a ground signal and 2 power wires for the heating element. And since it's unplugged, it never heats up, and it actually is bad for them to run off or cold. So that fuel, unburnt fuel, and just carbon buildup just builds up right there, and you get a dirty oxygen sensor, which I didn't even test to see these work. I just said screw it and bought some new ones, which obviously you could tell I cut the pigtail off. There's a reason I did not buy stock ones. I bought 2 of these. They're universal Bosch ones, and they're supposed to be pretty much an oxygen sensor is an oxygen sensor from what I've found. If you look online or go to an auto parts store, you'll look for a car or whatever, and they'll ask if it's upstream or downstream. Upstream is before the catalytic converter. Downstream is after the catalytic converter. Honestly, I've looked and cannot tell you if there is really a true difference between the two sensor-wise. I know there's usually a difference in the wire length, because if it goes after the cat, usually when it's downstream, it's usually the longer wire on the sensor. So, I mean, pretty much, since O2 sensor is an O2 sensor, just a standard one. I'm not talking about the wideband ones, just the ones that need to run off the ECM. Now, if you're talking about, I know, like the new Honda cars have wideband they don't have just the regular O2 sensors. They have a wideband O2 sensor, from what I've read on forums, and those you don't need to use. Those Bosch ones I've read that they're not really wideband. They're just a stock voltage range and or fuel ratio range. When you look at it, you know, you want to run it like a 14 or whatever. I think pretty much a stock one will sense from, I don't know what they say, like a 4 to up to 18 or something like that, and then a wideband will go even farther. It'll sense farther lean or rich, and the wideband ones are the ones you use with the gauges when you go aftermarket, or like, I don't really know how the Honda ones are. I guess the Honda ECM is a lot more complex and likes to measure it better, so I think that's why they use a wideband one. So obviously I need to get the other one. I've already got one done, and here is, now this is supposed to be the newer type of oh shit, yeah, you don't want to get that crap on it. You really got to keep these clean. You don't want to get funk in them. For as important as these are, they make them seem like they're really, really fragile, so, which is really dumb. But anyways, this is supposed to be the newer type of oxygen sensor. I cannot think of what they're called off the top of my head. I'll put it in the description. But as you can see, as you can tell, it's different. This is an older type right here, and this is the newer type. It's supposed to heat up a lot faster. Bosch's website claims to like 10 seconds, and it's supposed to be almost fully warmed up, because it needs to be hot to read the voltages, to send the signals to the ECM. It doesn't do anything when it's cold. It just sits there and waits till it heats up. As you can tell, this is a 4-wire. Like I said, there's 2 wires for the heating element. So this starts to heat up as soon as I turn my bike on, or car. If it's a 4-wire, it starts, the electrical wires help heat it up faster than just the exhaust. You can go all the way down to a 1-wire, where that 1 wire is just for signal, and the O2 sensor heats up from just the exhaust. Those take a good while to heat up, so they're not the best. But I mean, if your car's that old, that's pretty much, I don't know, I guess you could wire in one where you can have heating wires some way. Maybe hook the wires to the heating wires to an ignition source or something like that. But these are supposed to be the better or best, the ones that consumers can buy. But as you can tell, I did the exact same. I just cut it off, and this is the sheathing that came with it. And sorry about the lighting. I'm in the garage and it's dark and I can't. It's cold outside. I don't feel like raising the door. And then I had to add heat shrink to it, and then you can see the bulge right here. That's where all my heat shrinked those two. Then went over it, and now it's even longer. Hopefully it's not too long and gets in the way to fit in my bike. So that's one done. Oops. There we go. So that's one done. Hey, there's my other project. Look at that. Okay, so pretty much I'm just going to start on the other one. And yeah, I will also recommend, if you're using heat shrink, get a heat gun. They suck using the lighter.